Hello and welcome to the third episode of Hear Me Out, the video game music show. With me, that plays games, and with my dear friend from Canada, Ninja Guy X.
Hey everyone! Super excited today. We have a very special episode for you guys.
Yeah,
looking forward to talking about it.
We're doing a bit of a different approach this time around because and it's my fault because I couldn't I couldn't decide on which one of these tracks to pick, and then I was like, but I kind of want to show the whole journey, because this is going to be a journey into the main themes of Guild Wars and the whole franchise. So Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, we're going to go through the main themes, only the main themes, and I know there's a lot of other songs that are just amazing throughout the soundtracks. I'm not beyond above bringing some of them back for a couple of months down the line, maybe. But yeah, so we're gonna go through do a journey of basically 17 years of main themes within the world of Tyria in Guild Wars. So obviously, to preface this, Guild Wars 1 is my favorite game of all time, not counting Baldur's Gate 3, which is in early access, so it doesn't count. Because that might be the one actually to dethrone Guild Wars 1 for me.
Wow.
It's like this Guild Wars 1, I have a way over I think I have around 3,000 hours at this point. Most of it when I was a teenager, but I still pick it up every now and then and play a couple of hours each year at least, because it's just that good.
Man, yeah, like Guild Wars, I've never played it, but it was so popular. I remember when it was announced, like the big thing about Guild Wars was that it was free to play, right? Like no fees. You would just buy the game. You wouldn't have a monthly
buy once,
fee.
play forever.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember they talked about portals. I know that was one of the shticks of Guild Wars, right? Like these weird portals. So it's still
they had in. I think they talked about. They might have talked about portals in two different senses, because the first game was initially maybe marketed a bit as an MMO, but very quickly they pivoted and called an online RPG.
Okay.
Because in the first one is basically you have all the player hubs, like all the cities and villages are basically like hubs that you can meet up with other players in, and you can group up into groups of I think it's like 4 to 8 depending on where you are. And then basically you go out 8 players into an instance. So everything is instances.
Okay.
And then you have your copy, like your group's copy of the world. The quest that you guys have active can affect that instance. So it's basically, it plays more like the gameplay is probably more akin to a co-op version of something like maybe Dragon Age, more than a classic MMO. Then obviously with Guild Wars 2 they went more into the MMO style of gaming. It's more classic, more of a classic MMO with a lot of special takes on a lot of things that make it feel quite fresh even to this day. And the portals, the portal in the first game are the portals into, like, a portal is basically in between each of the instance zones.
Gotcha.
So you go through a portal and basically sometimes it transfers you like 1 meter. Another time it might transfer you you like on the other side of this mountain, because you enter the tunnel and you come out the other side. Whereas in Guild Wars 2 there's a class that actually can make portals to bring friends over from point A to point B. So like basically blink short distances through a portal with their friends.
That's very nice.
So
and yeah, so I remember, it just ranked up in popularity for sure. I think people after World of Warcraft was looking for something new, and that was just it, right? Like it had so many new elements compared to other games, so it was very cool to see this game growing like that.
Yeah, and I mean it was a success story in a lot of sense. I mean it sold a lot of copies, and I think I saw that I think it was a couple of years ago that 15 million people has at some point created an account in Guild Wars 2.
Wow.
Or it might have been Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 combined. There was like 15 million accounts. I mean, not all of those are active, but again, it's buy once, play forever, and Guild Wars 2 is now free to play, and then you can buy the expansions.
Nice.
And I mean, as free to play games go, like you get basically the full game as it was released back on launch, with a bunch of Call to Life stuff, and then that's for free, and then you can just buy the expansions when you've played like 150 hours and want some more content. So as free to play games offerings go, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm biased because it's, as I said, I'm a massive fan of this series. But I mean, Guild Wars 1 holds up really well. And it is very much soloable. You can play with your friends, but you can also play very much like they have some great systems for you to play on your solo with your, and yes, you use AI companions.
Nice. Okay.
So like it's a one of those games you can easily spend, like just going through the main stories alone will probably take you, I would assume maybe a couple of 100 hours. And I mean, it's a 17-year game, but if you haven't played it, it's amazing. So and really unique in the gameplay. But the music, which is what we're here to talk about, is also equally incredible. The music for the first game and the expansions for the first game, as well as the core second game, was composed by none other than Jeremy Soule of fame from...
Oh, right! I forgot about that.
Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and a bunch of other games.
Yes.
Like he's considered one of the staples of video game music.
Yeah,
in a lot of sense.
He's very well known. Yeah,
big ones
for sure.
Yeah. Also well known to be like kind of not a great guy to do business with. Apparently, I mean, there's a lot of complaints about his online store, like from people buying tracks and then not being able to access them, which is obviously not great. But I mean, as composers he's really good at his job.
Exactly. There's some controversy around him, but all we care about is just the music and what his mind can create, right? So of course,
yeah, exactly. Awesome. And I mean, sometimes it's hard to differentiate the artist from the art, but at some point for some things you just have to do that,
right?
And I mean, and then after Guild Wars 2 was released, they obviously needed more music for the content that came after. And he was the audio director, he worked on some audio engineer they had, who was like, so we need a quick track for this thing. We don't have time to bring. Jeremy don't have time. Like, you wanna, can you do something? I think it was something like that. It might have been he went, could I give it a try? And then he said sure. And since then, Maclaine Diemer has been making the music for the game, and he's been making. So basically, he got what was essentially, four games or four. Yeah, essentially 4 games plus 1 expansion, depending on how you count it. So probably 5-6 hours of music, with that was the legacy. And I mean, lore-wise, Guild Wars 1 is 250 years prior to Guild Wars 2. So you have this massive history going through it, both in terms of this region. Whenever he makes for example, the latest one expansion, End of Dragons, takes place in a region called Cantha, which is Korean inspired. So when he started making music for that expansion, he obviously had to go, not only am I making music for Guild Wars 2, I'm also making music for the region of Cantha that players have visited before. But there was also 250 years ago, lore wise, we were here last time, and the music sounded like this then. How does it sound now? Like there's some whole dynamic thing of that. I would love to. I mean, if at some point this show blows up and we can get famous guests on here, I really want to talk to him about this, because I mean,
yeah, let's get them. Yeah.
So yeah, it got to be a really interesting situation to basically be handed here's a legacy, run with it, and he's done an impressive job, I have to say. So I'm really looking forward to showing you the evolution, basically, then, of the main themes.
Yeah.
So the first 5 will be... We have 8 themes. They're pretty short, but we have 8 themes. The first 5 are composed by Jeremy Soule, and the last 3 are by Maclaine Diemer.
I'm very looking forward to that, because I feel like you'll have a story for every song, right? So... yeah, it's very exciting.
You bet.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, let's just jump. Let's just jump into the first track, and then I can set you up with the story afterwards. After we talk about it a little bit.
Sounds good. So I'm gonna put that on. Any last word you'd like to say on the first one before I put it on?
Not really, actually. Let's just go inside sort of blind, and then we can talk more about it afterwards.
Sounds good. Perfect. Ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. I'm ready. I can hear the Elder Scrolls in that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Definitely.
And I think he uses a lot of like synthesizers for orchestral synthesizers.
Yeah.
And has done like one of the. I think he has made one himself actually, along with his brother. And I mean, you can really hear it when he uses it.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's also a master of melodies and like melody loops.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the string melody going on in the background there.
Yeah. There's some different
the layering.
It can be differentiated for sure. It's not exactly the same, you know, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he has the distinct style, but also
yeah. Nice. What year did Guild Wars came out?
2006 was the initial release.
Oh.
No, 2005? Hang on, I gotta double check.
2006 was the year that Oblivion came out, I think, right? Elder Scrolls Oblivion. So
Guild.
So he already created
1.
Morrowind when he did that team. That is awesome.
Yeah. So Morrowind was created. Yeah, April 28th, 2005 was a release of this one.
Okay.
So and I think Morrowind was obviously before that.
Yeah.
So you can really hear the as you say, you can really hear the similarities between the Morrowind soundtrack, for example. You can, like in the way he works with strings, and as we move forward, I think you'll have similar reactions to some of them.
Oh, really? So
that was What do you think, first of all?
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's very good. I hear like the Morrowind music, but you can see like there's been an evolution. Like I think you could already see that he had some better skills acquired from between Morrowind and Oblivion and Guild Wars. I think so far it feels like a masterpiece. You know, like it's very melodic. It's very cool. So looking forward to hear about the others.
Yeah, and I mean it's a lot of strings, and obviously like the first campaign, Prophecies, is set in a, I mean it's quite unique art style, but it's also at the same time it's kind of your usual fantasy world.
Yeah.
I mean they have some unique things going for it, of course, but I mean it's still your usual Western fantasy world.
Is there the was there any vocals in it? I thought I heard vocals.
Not in. It might be some like just the
or maybe synthesizer vocals, right? It's hard to tell.
It's synth vocals.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song. There's a song in Guild Wars 2 that have actual lyrics and vocals, which play during the basically the epilogue of the game, which is all, like we can do another month because it's amazing as well. But I think that's the only one where they use like lyrics. And then there are a few different renditions of that one over the years. But so obviously the first one was like it was a standard Western fantasy world,
right?
And I think you can sort of hear that.
Yes.
But obviously going with the first expansion that came out in 2006, and I started playing around the time that this game, like it was a few weeks after this one came out. I started playing. They instead go to another region, which is a couple of weeks by ship south. There's another continent called Cantha, and that continent is heavily inspired. Initially it was just heavily inspired by, like, it's still a fantasy world in the world of Tyria, but it also it's like Southeast Asia inspired.
Oh, cool.
And then obviously by going when we come back to it later, it's gonna be more honed down on Korea, because they weren't like it feels a bit racist to go like Southeast Asia. So just generalize like that. Let's go into one specific. So let's take a listen to Guild Wars Factions, because this is basically, it's gonna be the same. Like it's still the same theme.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be set in the Southeast Asia.
I'm kind of curious to see if they have like any Asian instrument, right? Because of that team. So now I'm curious. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit that play button if you're ready.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Nice. Aha. Yes.
And you can hear it's the same melody.
Oh, is it?
But with a twist.
Yeah. Oh man.
Like the bass of it, it's the same notes, but played in a different way, and the same order of the notes.
That
like
could
the
be
linger
like
of the different
a
tones
movie score. Like,
yeah.
so good. I like that one. It's really good.
Yeah, so smooth. I like the massive drums in the back as well there.
Yeah.
It's almost like these Japanese massive drums. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know the name of the instrument, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You can still hear Jeremy's like composition, but he's stepping out of his comfort zone, which is kind of cool.
Definitely stepping out. Yeah, definitely. And some great soloist work done on the like violin, like the strings. I don't think it's a violin. I think it might be like
it's you know that really long violin there, like, and very thin, and they play with that. I don't know what it's called, but I feel like that's what it is. Yeah.
So I mean, as you can hear, it's the same melody, like the same da 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 da.
Yeah.
But played very, very different style, basically. It's basically like a Southeastern Asia cover of it.
Okay.
So how do you feel about that transition there? Like,
I really like it because it's very different. He didn't just did the same thing with different notes. Like he used different instruments. He used a different melody, and no, that was really good. I like when they make something really different compared to there's some of these composers. They're just you always know that it's that specific composer because all their songs sounds very similar, right? But that one was really impressive. I think I've only heard Jeremy's work from the Elder Scrolls series, so it's cool to see him stepping out like that because I didn't know he had some skills like that.
Yeah, no, I think they really managed to capture that feel of like it still feels Guild Wars. It still feels like it feels Asian, but it also managed like it's a nice blend between the two. And obviously after Factions, which was one of the expansions, and an interesting note here about the way the Guild Wars 1 handled expansions was all the expansions were standalone.
Okay.
So you could pick up Nightfall or Factions and start create a new character. There was a tutorial area, and then you could keep with the story, and then the story would just continue. But you could also bring your character.
I was wondering
the other
that.
ones.
Yeah.
And then you basically just skip. You have one mission to get you into the start of the game, and then you basically skip the tutorial zone. And the tutorial zones were sizable. Like there was easily 20 hours of content in there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
At least. Where you basically learn the ropes, and then you would go into the. So you could easily, if your friend just pick up Nightfall, you have played for 3 years. You could say, you just finish these quests, and then we can meet and get familiar. And then we meet up, and then we go together. So yeah, it was really nicely handled. And also again, they were. I think Nightfall was released around. I think was not even a year after Factions.
Oh wow!
They pushed out Nightfall.
So still in 2006.
Because obviously. Yeah, I think it might be early 2007.
Okay.
But something like that. And I mean, but they kind of had to, because I mean, as you said, it was buy once, play forever. So they needed to push out new content and have people spending money on the game.
Yeah.
So and I mean, Nightfall is a great one. So Nightfall was also interesting because it was the first game that I ever played that, while in a fantasy world, it is based on. Inspired by North African culture. Oh
wow, interesting! I'm seeing the image there. I was wondering what it was depicting.
Have you ever played a game set in inspired by or set in North Africa as a culture?
Well, Africa. I know that there's Far Cry, right? Far Cry has.
Far Cry has one.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about North Africa though. I don't know the culture.
I feel it's an and I feel like it's an underdeveloped Like there are way too few games basically
Yes.
set in that setting and that like or even just inspired by that culture. Like
Yeah, it's not, yeah, the culture, we don't hear a lot about it. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically then from classic Western fantasy we go to Southeast Asian fantasy. Now we go to North African fantasy. So let's have a listen and see how the theme has progressed at this point.
Very curious. Before I play as a play button, I'm curious, like, does the whole soundtrack revolve around this? Like the first expansion was like Asia oriented. Is the whole soundtrack kind of like Asian oriented the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
like the music is very much set to suit them well, and I think it's around an hour of music for each expansion.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So like after night, just after Nightfall, we have 3 hours of full music if you want to listen to the full soundtracks.
You know me, I probably will.
Yeah.
All right, let's give that a try. Nightfall, let's go.
Yes.
Oh wow, that sounds more like Indian, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think it's also like a marimba being quite used in North Africa as well.
Interesting.
They have like the drums here.
The drums are more intense. Yeah.
Yeah. And also interesting, note the addition of the horn.
Of what? Sorry.
Because the horns.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is something that's very like Oblivion has a bit of horns. But Skyrim has a lot of horns.
Yeah.
I think this is when he started experimenting with a lot of horn sections in his scores.
Yeah. I think maybe his budget got better, or maybe.
Yeah, I think also maybe,
Yeah.
but also I think also experimentation and just
because I can see an evolution for sure. Nice.
and like the melody of the main theme from the first first game is like it is still there, but it's very hidden.
Oh.
But it's still there, so if you really like I think it's the string part, like the string backing part there.
Yeah.
It's very much like it's keeping that same melody of that.
So he's trying to keep that. Yeah. Interesting.
So but then like in Factions it was very prominent with the violin, whereas here it's like it's there, but it's so hidden. It's
more the drums, right? Like I think the focus was the drum over here in that one, and the sitar. I was surprised. The sitar, like that's. I didn't know that was.
I think I might have been a marimba, which is one of these, which is like one of these wooden boxes with metal, basically metal sticks, and then you play them like almost like a piano, but it sounds more like a guitar, sitar.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
It might have been that.
Yeah.
But it fits really well.
Yeah.
But then again, also like it's just like with how Factions was Southeast Asia in general. This is more North Africa in general. So like some parts of this was probably like, let's go there's a Middle Eastern influence, and then let's go with some Moroccan, and then let's go something from Kenya, and then.
Yeah. I'm looking forward for the Swedish expansion, right? Like that should be a good one.
They never made one. might be the future, but no.
Yeah. So what I like is that this is modern. Like these soundtrack could fit like in a game from today, right? Jeremy Soule was very ahead of his time for sure.
Yeah, very timeless. And I mean, as someone who played these games a lot and heard the music a lot, like I still go back and listen to this music. It never really gets old.
Nice.
So yeah, and then obviously after Guild Wars Nightfall. They were working on another expansion called that was codenamed Utopia. But then they scrapped that.
Really?
Because they realized the things they wanted to do wasn't really possible in the engine anymore. They were like trying like, all right, can we do this? And like the engine started breaking when they tried to add the features they wanted to have. So they instead said, all right, let's start making Guild Wars 2.
Okay.
So this production started, I think, at around 2007, maybe. I think they started production on Guild Wars 2, maybe 2008.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But obviously they needed to get something out the door to get people keep people playing and paying. But they also wanted to, have a way to bridge the storylines. At some point, they decided let's jump 250 years.
Yeah.
So Eye of the North is basically, it was the first expansion that wasn't standalone, the only expansion that isn't standalone. So you need to have one of the other three at least, or all of them, and then you need to buy this one as well as an add-on.
Okay.
And it's a smaller campaign, but I think it also has an hour of music.
Okay.
Nice. Even though it's a smaller campaign.
Yeah.
And it starts introducing more of the playable characters that we see in Guild Wars 2, like the Asura, and the Norn, and they do set up the backstory for the Sylvaria a little bit as well. So this is where they start setting things up for the future. They introduce the ideas of the Elder Dragons, which is the main big baddies of Guild Wars 2.
Oh.
This is where they plant the seeds basically for the future.
Cool. So basically,
also,
the story kind of explain a little bit of what's going to happen in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, this sets the stage for Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
So basically, they had obviously Guild Wars 1's plotline have some loose ends as well, and then they were like, all right, so Guild Wars 1 has happened with all the expansions. Let's do Eye of the North to lay the stage for the time jump and then everything that happens after that. And I think the time jump was probably also a way for them to say, like, all right, how can we not have to build all of these two new regions we added added again, because it's gonna be way too big at that point.
Yeah.
So they staggered that over the years until we finally got Cantha with End of Dragons this year.
Oh. What?
So,
wow.
I mean, the latest expansion, End of Dragons, which we'll come to later towards the end of it, was released in this year.
That's crazy.
And Guild Wars 2 celebrates 10 years this year.
Wow. I wonder if they'll ever do another one, like Guild Wars 3 at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But they might also just keep... so far they've said, like, future's looking bright. We're going to make more content for Guild Wars 2.
That's cool.
We have started production on the next expansion. It's going to be out when it's out.
Nice.
And in between that, they also have live seasons. But yeah, Eye of the North. Interesting thing about that is also musically to set things up as well is that if you listen closely, I think because this goes into the mountainous regions a lot, for example.
Okay.
Where we meet the Norn, which is basically like half giant people. Who are they like to hunt. They have they are probably the closest thing we have gotten to a Nordic inspired, like Viking inspired people in the series. So yeah, just have Skyrim in mind as we hit play.
Okay, like because I didn't know where that was heading.
Not melodies, but like musically, stylish wise. So this was before Skyrim.
Let's have a look. Was not expecting that. Nice. Oh, that's so different.
Yeah.
Nice. Completely removed the drums on this one.
Yeah. There you have the main theme again. Like,
Oh yeah.
On a single, I think it's like a trombone or something.
So this came out before Guild Wars 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was 2007, I think it was.
Okay.
Maybe 2008. And obviously, Guild Wars 2 came out to 2012. Skyrim 2011. So
I see.
you can really hear how he like added a lot of new horns to his synthesizers and could then use that in Skyrim. Love this part.
Very epic.
Yes, very epic.
Yeah.
I think in the first trailer, they had this music. They were something over that part. They were like, "Now it's our time."
It sounds like that. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's funny. Jeez, this could have been like a Battlefield team, like, you know?
Right.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so and like as I said, I pointed out that where you could hear the main theme from the first game again.
Yeah.
But it just like that theme packs such a different punch when it comes from a section of horns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like he I feel like he always go all out on his music, you know, like he's like, okay,
yeah,
so I need to really put everything in, you know, in my heart into this soundtrack. And yeah, I was really not expecting that because Skyrim is a lot slower. This one was like actually very fast, you know, compared to his usual stuff.
Fast.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But like instrumentally wise, you can really hear how this was like the groundwork for him as a composer for Skyrim.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's a lot of similarities in like how he writes the music for Either North compared to Skyrim.
Yeah, I think he probably had access to the same kind of instruments, probably, or the same kind of musicians to help him out and stuff, and that's probably how it happened. I'm assuming, you know, you never know.
Yeah, I would assume the same.
Yeah.
So obviously now we've done quite a time jump of 5 years in as when this came out. This came out a year after Skyrim. In game wise, we're going back to the first region of the first game and the region of the Either North expansion. So we go into those areas only. The North African and the Southeast Asian areas are basically not in the game at this point.
Okay.
They're locked away by lore reasons.
Okay.
And obviously, and also because they didn't want to build them at this point because it was too expensive. But yeah, so. But also again we've jumped 250 years in the lore wise, so obviously that is gonna like the soundtrack is going to be a bit more modernized than
interesting.
In the first game.
Okay.
Not a lot more modern. Like we're still talking orchestral score for Western fantasy, but I mean there is some steampunk guns in the rifles in Guild Wars 2.
I like the sound of that. Yeah,
like they invented that during the 250 years, and I was like, yeah, sure. Now we have a class called Engineer, which can put down turrets and use rifles and bombs, which is a really fun class to play, by the way. So yeah, let's take a listen to Guild Wars 2's
awesome.
main theme.
So before we do, is this still composed by Jeremy, or is that?
This is the last time Jeremy Soule was helping the music.
All right.
So yeah, this is Jeremy Soule.
Let's have a look. Here's the team. Yeah, you already hear that.
Yeah, and you bringing back the strings, but making a bit more punchy.
Yeah.
And here comes the horns.
Yeah, and vocals now. The first one didn't have vocals, so. Oh yeah. feel like if he had the experience he had that day, this is what the Guild War 1 song would have sounded like. This is yeah,
very much so.
Because that's how it feels. It feels like he just took his experience from all of these years and just implemented to that team song again, you know. So that's how it feels for me. Yeah.
So it's a really is a great, as you say, great evolution of the soundtrack.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then obviously this after a while after Guild Wars 2 released, a short while after they realized they had to, obviously, I mean, they said it from the get-go that they were gonna do like live content, like they were gonna release content in waves, and like if you were playing the game while they released, they were free.
Okay.
And they happened. So like suddenly there's an influx of refugees coming in from this region. Why are they here? And let's build so like the world was feeling very alive. Obviously that in the throughout the years, then they've made them a bit more accessible from in hindsight, because they realized some people might miss them. And obviously if we then they realized we can sell them access to those.
I see.
If you missed it, you can pay. I think it's like 10, like 5 or 10, like maybe I think it's $10 or something, maybe 20.
Okay.
To get access to one of these story campaigns, and they are sizable and really good.
But worth the price.
So they did, so they did two of those. But they add more content, but they don't add that many more mechanics. So they did one. It was perceived quite well, and just this year actually came back to the game. It's been unavailable for well over 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
And then after that they did a second season of that. They call it the Living World. So Living World season 1 happened, had a massive storyline play out that ended actually the destruction of one of the main cities. Was completely wrecked and rebuilt in look completely different nowadays than it did back in the day. And then for season 2 they started then laying the groundwork for what would be the first expansion pack, which is Heart of Thorns. And obviously throughout both of these Living Story seasons they did make new music, and Maclaine Diemer did make the music for them.
Okay.
But they don't really have a clear main theme in those, so I've ignored them. Otherwise, also this video would be way too big.
Yeah, we'll make it 24 hours. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, so for Heart of Thorns, which was the first soundtrack, first expansion to come out, Maclaine Diemer was now helming the music. So obviously, new composer. We're going into the jungle regions of the was in the first game. But then and was also in the second games. We're going deeper into the jungle with this one and facing the jungle dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
All right, sounds good.
I think this is incidentally also no, it's not, almost longest one.
Nice.
I love the string work.
Yeah. The string seems to be like the main theme of the whole soundtrack.
Yeah, strings and horns. That's the thing of Guild Wars.
Very epic.
They do great work with it.
Ah, yes! I wanted some drums because it was Jungle Team.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, we're going to war against the jungle dragon that can create massive thorn spikes killing everyone. Yeah, this is definitely like raise the sword.
Let's go to war!
Such a good expansion, by the way. I was blown away by the storyline when I played it.
Nice.
We go from ominous to slightly calm, and then which can also be very much felt in the gameplay.
Some vocals?
But like even in the darkest of jungles, there is also beauty. I feel like.
Nice.
rising strings in the background. They just do it for me. I love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love it when I love it when someone does that. And the snare drum work here.
Ooh, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
You can see like the difference between Maclaine and Jeremy Soule, but he still used the same type of instruments, and so I feel like he used the same type of production also. So it still feels like Guild Wars. It still feel like it fits very well with the other songs.
Yeah.
But definitely more epic. More crazy. At first I thought like, oh man, like jungle, there's no drums. That's kind of weird. And then the drums picked up, and that was pretty intense. Yeah.
And also like, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that I might misremember, but I'm pretty sure that this was like, I mean, Maclaine Diemer, he wasn't a composer before doing this. I don't think he had. I mean, he had done some composing, like I know he was in a band and did some things with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he hadn't done like composing on this like on any big project before.
That was his first.
So imagine being like, here is like 6 hours of music made by Jeremy Soule. you got the helm from here.
Yeah.
Like the previous captain has left the ship. You are now heading straight forward here into open seas.
Yeah.
Good luck. And I was like, this is my first time.
I can imagine.
But
so that's probably why you can find some resemblance. Probably because he was guided by Jeremy, probably, and he got to understand his music and do something in the same kind of work. But you can definitely see that he has his touch in there. I'm not familiar with the composer actually, so I don't know what else his music is compared to.
He's done a few projects since, but yeah, he's mostly known for Guild Wars 2.
Oh wow.
Maclaine.
Nice.
So like this is where he started his composing journey, and I mean this is what he has been up to, and he's done, like I said, he's done a few things in between projects. But yeah, this.
I'll need to look him up.
So yeah, he's really good, and there's I can really recommend a lovely interview that Austin Wintory, the composer of Journey, I mean he does a lot of amazing interviews on his YouTube channel.
Cool.
With I mean anyone from like the music producers of like he has a great one with the music producer of for or audio engineer or something like that for It Takes Two, for example.
Okay.
And I mean that's like, for example, he mentioned in there that's a game that they wrote 16 hours of music for a game that's 15 hours long.
Yeah.
Which is just insane. But yeah, but Maclaine Diemer has an interview with Austin on his channel that's amazing. So a warm recommendation to listening to that one if you just want to get into the weeds of two composers hanging out and talking to each other. Incidentally, also they never met before, so like this is the first time they're talking to each other. But it's a great conversation.
Yeah, I'll try to look it up.
So yeah. So obviously after the first expansion, we've been in the jungle. There's a wind down episode of the Living World season. So a bunch of content going, like wrapping up storylines from that.
Okay.
And then while also starting putting the seeds for the second expansion. Then we have another season of Living World, planting the seeds for them what's to come in Path of Fire. And obviously in Path of Fire they also do an interesting thing, and I mean this was interesting in the first game as well, because I mean obviously you have as someone who played Guild Wars 1 a lot and then going into Guild Wars 2, I made a video on the topic itself, visiting some of these places, like it's been for me, for some of these places, it's been 10 years since I was here last. And then for in game, like the 250 years has passed. But I've been here before. I know this place like the back of my hand. And it is the same place, but it's different, which is just a mind-blowing experience to be part of. Like, it's the weirdest sense of familiarity I've ever felt.
So they use parts of the first game, and they rework it to the second game.
Okay. I mean, it's the same world. Obviously, things has happened in between the years, but like, like this landmark is still here. It's in ruins now, but it's still here. Like this landmark that was a ruin before is overgrown now.
Cool.
So like a lot of these most of these, and then of course there are a lot of new places as well. But like you go through these areas and like, been there, seen that before. That I recognize that. And I mean, it's like it's that feeling when you walk down, like if you just by chance happen to walk the same route that you did from home to school when you were a kid, but now you're going somewhere. I mean, you're not going to your school, you're going somewhere else, but you just happen to go walk that road and like, I know this place. That bench didn't used to be there.
Oh yeah.
That tree is gone. That's a new tree, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that feeling in a video game, and it's amazing. Anyway, this expansion then takes us back to the region of Elona that we had in Nightfall. So we're now going back to the region in Nightfall, the North African inspired one.
Okay.
And obviously they have I don't really remember which culture they honed in on a bit extra, but they have streamlined it a bit, so it's not quite as broad in the cultural influences. It's more streamlined to a smaller area than just all of North Africa, with half of the Middle East, as before.
Yeah.
But let's give it a listen.
All right, let's give it a try. Path of Fire.
Path of Fire.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I get an Age of Empire vibe like right away. That's crazy. Like all the Age of Empire, the instruments are in there.
Yeah. And also the strings and the horns as usual.
Yeah. That's nothing new. Man, that really sounds like an RTS music, real-time strategy music. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like reminds me also of that game set. Nice. That not an RTS, but a game that's similar to Civilizations that was on Stadia.
Humankind.
Yeah, Humankind. I love that soundtrack.
Definitely, it's some. And I mean, since like Humankind takes people from like civilizations from the very ancient eras, so then a lot of those civilizations were in Africa, so that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. You know what? I like that one better than the other one from Jeremy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
like,
nice.
I think Maclaine Diemer has not only taken the torch from Jeremy Soule, but somehow managed to surpass him in like these main themes.
Wow, it's crazy. Yeah, so far I think that's my favorite team. Really like it. Nice. Is that the Stadia logo?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Like when it's animated, that's like a wild, like a sand, like fire whirlwind.
Nice.
With a dragon coming out of it. It's
for those who's watching, we're looking at the Path of Fire logo here.
Yeah. Gonna have to add it in post.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't always love.
I feel like Aladdin.
Yeah, exactly. I always loved late Egypt teams. Yeah.
But yeah, this is an amazing track.
Yeah. Path of Fire. I think that's the one I'll listen to first, because oh my gosh, that was a really good one. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I mean I've done I like when I was trying to decide how to show you the music of Guild Wars, one of the things I was considering was taking Nightfall, then Path of Fire, for like just to show you like the evolution. But then I realized that doesn't tell it, like there's more to this story than just that. So that's why we're here now. But yeah, like that just like the transition. Like try like let's try during the next couple of weeks. Like give it a try to listen to the main theme of Nightfall and then Path of Fire, for example.
Okay.
Or Guild Wars 1, Eye of the North, Guild Wars 2. Or Guild Wars Factions and then End of Dragons, and just see, because then you can also see like for these individual regions, because they have such a distinct musical style to all of them. Yeah, like Path of Fire has an amazing soundtrack.
It's cool that they revisit locations, right? Like in Guild Wars 2.
So cool.
Yeah, I like that.
So incredible. But also like Guild Wars 2 really makes it, like it takes this lore and this world and just runs with it.
Yeah.
Like Guild Wars 2, like the storyline of Guild Wars 2 is honestly better than a lot of, like as like the expansions, especially of the Living Story seasons. Guild Wars 2, they are like this. I'm more invested in those storylines than like most AAA games coming out.
Yeah, wow, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so good. So yeah, I would love to have a chat with like the narrative team over there at some point, because wow.
The second thing I like game, the first thing I like games for is music, but the story is definitely the second thing that needs to get me a grip. Yeah, because the game can be as crappy as it wants. If it has a good story, I don't care, like it's just
exactly. And I mean, and that it has really good gameplay and like way too much content, like to the point where I wish it was less content in some ways. Because I'm yet to play more than a few hours of End of Dragons, because I'm not done with the previous content.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I have like 100 hours of content left before I even get to the beginning of End of Dragons.
Yeah.
I had to go in a little bit to just taste it, but so also interestingly enough, when we now, like I mentioned, we jumped 250 years and we added like steampunk engineering in Guild Wars 2. When we come to Cantha has been like cut off from the rest of the world since basically some events that happens a few years after the Eye of the North campaign.
Okay.
So not only are we like how we're jumping 250 years, they've been completely isolated from the rest of the world during this time, by choice from them. Not initially by choice, but then when they could have opened up, they refused to. So and there's been a lot of interesting technological mixed with magical advancements happening in the world. So like there are some real, like, I mean, as you can see from the image there are some almost like cyberpunky,
modernish,
well, like going into slight modern areas. But also again, we're in the Southeast Asian inspired area.
Okay.
This time we are going. They've decided to, let's just make it less broad again, as they did when all in North Africa too. Maybe like I think Egypt with a little bit of Middle East. This time they're going. Let's just go Korea.
Okay. Nice.
So this is Korean inspired, and they brought in a lot of experts on both instrumentals, but also like Maclaine Diemer he was studying Korean folk music for like over a year to make this soundtrack, and it's like the way it's composed is more aligned with like Korean classical music and then with Western influences rather than the other way around. So let's give it a go.
I'm not familiar with Korean like culture music at all. Like the only stuff that I'm familiar with is like K-pop. So, but I don't think it's gonna hear like that.
No, this is not K-pop. Let's just blow this door open for you, because this is a rabbit hole you're gonna love.
Let's do it. Nice. Oh.
It just hits.
Yeah, boom.
But also, like, you can hear the influences of the old main theme in the flute here.
Oh yeah. Man, epic.
Love the way they work with themes in Guild Wars.
What kind of instrument is that?
Yeah, they have a video. There's a whole like GDC talk on it. You can delve into it if you want. I love it.
What? Is that a clarinet? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a Korean instrument.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of it.
There you go.
Here comes the Western influences.
Yeah, there it is. Nice.
And then we bring back the orchestra a little bit to bring out the Korean style again. You can even hear a bit of synth work here.
Oh! Oh yeah, look at that! I didn't even notice. Oh my gosh, so weird. Man, was not expecting some synth. That's so like unexpected, you know?
Yeah, and now we go full in with just everything.
Yeah.
We're bringing back the initial instruments.
Nice.
And I gotta say, the Grammy nomination, well deserved.
Nice. Did he really?
I think so. I think it was something like that. I did see a tweet from him like about how they have just added that category to the Grammys. I think it was Grammys. One of these music awards that never really had a video music category before, that now has, and I think this was one of the nominees.
Looking forward to
at least up for nomination, at least.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what kind of music. Yeah. Oh yeah. So that one was very, very weird. Like I did not expect it, and some instrument that I've never heard before. I think that it's just a type of culture that I've never heard, right? So it just like really surprised me, and I'm just not used to it. But yeah, very, very surprised. I guess is my reaction on that last one. Yeah.
And also, like something that I might be remembering this wrong and explaining it wrong, but like something I remember from one of these talks that I saw about this soundtrack is that in Korean music you rarely don't usually you don't like in a Western orchestra you would have then the strings play this melody and these guys play this melody and these guys play this melody and then it all springs together into something nice.
Yeah.
Whereas in Korean classical music it's more like we all play this melody. And then we add this instrument, and we remove this instrument, and we do things like that. But we generally play the same melody, which he then used for this because he learned that, and I was like, yeah, this sounds way much better. So he used that for this, and because that's the way you handle these instruments. Like that's the way they should be played in an orchestra. And then of course, as he points out, and then you can't really do that with the horns because the horn section is always going to do what the horn section wants.
Yeah.
So the horns do a bit of a riff away from the theme at some points, but I love this main theme.
Nice. Yeah, he did his research. That's for sure. So different from his other compositions, you know.
Yeah, but you can also I really love how you can see the journey of the theme because at the end of the day it is like elements of that same main theme has been there the entire time.
They've used it, yeah.
So the main theme is still the main theme, even though it's evolved over time and it's adapted for the different situations it's needed to be in some of it it's just a little bit, and some of it it's taking the forefront, and some of it is taking a step back, and and I really just love the evolution that it's been going through over the last 17 years.
That's crazy. So much music.
So,
yeah,
definitely. And I mean, so which main theme rendition did you prefer the most then?
Oh, I'm sure you can.
You did say Path of Fire there for a while, but I mean,
exactly. That second to last one was my favorite for sure. Yeah, it really stood out for me. Yeah.
And I mean, to me, I think I think like I used to think the same thing as you like the Path of Fire one, where but I do say I like where like while I think that's the I used to think that was the best one. Nowadays, I actually think that I was blown away when I heard the End of Dragons one. I was like, yes, this one is the best.
Nice.
So in my eyes, like this last one is the best one for me, or my ears rather. But at the same time, the Heart of Thorns theme is actually the one I listen to the most, because it's the one that, I mean, it's the one that for me works best as something to put on in the background while I do something else. Which is how I usually, like, I rarely sit down and just listen to a track like we do now.
Yeah.
I should do it more often because it's really nice to do, but I mean, usually it's like I have it on in the background while cooking or something. And then the Heart of Thorns soundtrack has become really my favorite one for that, because it's, I don't know, it just works better in the background while I do stuff. It's less things for me to like attach like connect to and focus on.
Yeah.
In a sense. So I think, but also interesting enough, I mean, for me, all of these soundtracks, especially from the first game, they in a big sense marked my upbringing in a way. Like from my mid-teens to adulthood, this was like I was hearing these songs regularly.
Yeah.
Like they are like, for me, they are like teenage and early adulthood is Guild Wars 1's music, with the expansions. So I guess for me to say I prefer not only like one of the newer ones, I prefer all of the new ones over the older ones, and not because the older ones are bad, but because I think I think it's partly the evolution of it, but also I think they are just better.
Yeah. They're also it's fresh, right? Because the other ones you've listened to them so much that it's kind of fresh to hear the same type of music, but just new content, you know. So I can understand that.
Yeah,
you know.
I think to some extent it is that, but I think to some extent they are also the better tracks.
Okay, yeah.
In my opinion,
yeah.
It's not just that they are new. I think, and like I've listened to the others so much, but I just think they are better compositions. So they are more interesting to listen to. They are for so I mean, I gotta say, like I'm blown away with how Maclaine Diemer has taken over the torch.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, he's gone from someone I didn't even know of to, someone else is making the Guild Wars 2 music too. Oh, this is now one of my top 5 composers of all time.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, that's crazy.
That's the journey. That's the journey it has taken for me. And,
that's how good he is.
And he also, and I mean, he also seems like a really chill, great guy. So
nice.
But yeah.
Oh,
so what are your overall thoughts on the Guild Wars 2 music?
It was
and the Guild Wars 1 music.
It was cool. You know, the first song was okay. You know, like it was just like it felt like Jeremy's usual composition. You know, like he derived a little bit, but that you could hear some Morrowind in there. But then as it goes, he experienced different types of culture, which I was not expecting, and it was pretty cool to see like this whole change, and then this new composer coming in. His first composition felt very much like Jeremy. Like I think he was trying to like follow his footsteps, but then he probably went and did his own, you know, thing, and that's when it shined. And you know, he did some pretty cool stuff. So the whole evolution was amazing, and it's cool to see that. You know, sometimes composers, they lose their touch. They just end up having a hard time finding some good composition, but this guy just seems to be just getting better and better. So yeah, it's very cool to see that.
Yeah. I agree, and I mean, I'm really like, next time I see an announcement like this game is coming out, the music is by Maclaine Diemer, I'm gonna play it.
Nice. Yeah.
And even if I don't play it, I'm at least gonna listen to the music.
Yeah. So I guess we'll hear some Maclaine music in every episode now. That's all you'll be putting.
Not every episode, but there are a couple of ones that I like highlights that I really want to bring out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to stagger them out over time. So we can't only do Guild Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, but it's also another interesting thing that I find is that in like the rest of the soundtracks also obviously have a bunch of stuff, really good stuff in it as well. Like if you take, for example, Guild Wars 1's rest of the soundtrack except for the main theme, there's a lot of more classical, like almost like it feels like there's a lot of influences to maybe like things like Mozart or Beethoven's thing.
Really?
Like a lot of those really classical stuff mixed with a lot of just ambient tracks. So like it has a lot of like ambient tracks, but also a lot of really strong melodies that are layered on top of each other in a way that feels very like 1600s century, like 16th, 17th century classical music, and always in factions and then the dragons. There is a lot of like all over the place, basically with Asian influences, like classical Chinese in factions in some places, and or obviously a lot of classical Korean in the dragons. In the Guild in the later like expansions, there's also a bunch of sci-fi elements coming in, some synth work. There are some really cool tracks that could easily have gone into something like maybe not Cyberpunk, but like Mass Effect or Stray.
Yeah.
So they managed to really capture the whole thing. And then I also love the fact that we do get to go to Northern Africa in 2 of these expansions, to get some more experience from that.
Yeah, like as it goes differently is just, keeps it fresh, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, during the next episode, I'm going to give you a small tease. I'll be showing you my most played song of 2022. So yeah,
interesting.
That should be pretty fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like 2 songs. Like it's just like an introduction songs that transition to the actual song. It's it's just like maybe a 6-minute song. So definitely we'll have something from you also. On that, yeah.
And I mean, whenever you decide to get to someone like this time when it's like I couldn't decide which one, let's do a journey of it. Then let's do that because I got an IOU episode where I can show you owe me a big one.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much for watching this very different episode of Hear Me Out.
Yeah.
Where we took a magical journey that spans 17 years of music within the world of Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you have a great suggestion for song that you want us to check out, then please do so add it in the comment section below, or message us on Twitter or on Discord or something. So let us know which tracks you want us to take a listen to, and we'll be back sometime next month, I suppose.
Yeah.
With one last episode before the end of the year, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
With something fun for some new tracks.
Exactly.
That we probably haven't heard before.
That's why I wanted to put my most listened song in the year, right? Because it's the end of the year, so
clever.
Super. Yeah, it's maybe you should do that too.
I'm gonna have to look up which one is mine.
Yeah, have a look and see maybe we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you as well. Let's have a good night. I suppose it's getting afternoon-ish for you, night-ish for you.
Yeah.
And I'll see you later.
Yeah, see.
Anyone watching, thank you for watching this show. Don't forget to watch the first and the second episode. The first episode is up on my channel. The second episode is up on Ninja's channel. We will have playlists linked all over the place in the description and on our channels. We have probably one each at this point, and check them out. And join us for the next episode where we continue the journey on exploring new areas of video music.
Yeah, super fun. Have a good one, guys. Bye.